Because first off, coming off a successful weekend in Saskatoon, Good evening, hockey fans. It's David Zammit here from the Fairview West Arena in Swift Current. Have a pair of the top teams in the Saskatchewan U AAA Hockey League squaring off tonight between the Swift Current Wildcats and the visiting Notre Dame Hounds. They're actually the top two teams in the league rolling into tonight. Swift Current is currently in first place. However, if Notre Dame was to eke out a regulation win tonight, they'd both be tied in the standings. Swift Current sitting at 25 points on the season, whereas the Hounds are at 22 points. We caught up with Wildcats head coach before the game, myself, David Zammit, and Sean Mullen here, just joining me on the broadcast as we're about to kick this one off. We'll head on over to that interview quickly just before we get to puck drop here. Because first off, coming off a successful weekend in Saskatoon, you pick up 6 valuable points there. I guess, what do you need to do tonight to build off that?
You know, one of the things we liked is we were pretty tough defensively. We didn't give them a lot of high-quality scoring chances. And I thought probably Saturday, even though it was a closer game, we were really in control that entire game, and we really limited their scoring chances. So obviously you play a team that's got a little bit more offense. We're really going to have to make sure that we take care of our own end first. And, hopefully, since we did a good job on the weekend, that's something that we can carry over and continue to do.
You talk about playing tight contests up there in Saskatoon, and you might have to expect that tonight in a team that's been really stingy defensively. They haven't given up much at all this year.
Yeah, they're a real stingy defensive team. They got a couple game breakers on the back end that really control the play, and Evans and Govin, who, they just really compose their team in their zone. So, for us, it's going to be, get bodies to the net, get pucks to the net, try to get a couple ugly goals. But again, we like the way we play. When we get in the offensive zone, we're a big team. When we cycle pucks, when we keep it on the wall, most teams have a little bit of difficulty against us.
You made some lineup changes with how you structure your forward lines. How has that helped you, and how do you think that adjustment will help against Notre Dame?
We've just tried to go more balanced. And, you look at our last probably 4 games, even going back to Regina when we won here, we're playing all 4 lines, and we had all 4 lines were out there right to the last 2-3 minutes of the game. And, on a weeknight game, it's maybe not quite as vital, but we find on the weekends when you're playing back-to-back, if we can run 4 lines consistently, especially in the first game, we're going to be fresher in the second game. But, we like the way all 4 of our lines are playing on the weekend. And, I think it just gives us a real balanced team effort. And, in every hockey game, you're going to have times when you get hemmed in. But I think when we're really balanced, we really limit the times where we get stuck in our own end.
Is that what you find has been the key? You guys have picked up wins in 5 of your last 6. Is that what you think has made the difference in the majority of those?
Yeah, I think that has been the biggest thing, is that we've been better defensively, and I think it's a combination of, 1, balanced lines, and number 2, we spend a lot more time working on it in practice. So we probably spend 20 to 25 minutes every practice going over D-zone, talking about coverages, D-zone face-offs, and, so just, trying to limit their chances and then break out a little bit more efficiently so we spend less time in our end.
These guys are going to be a test, though. They're one of the other deeper teams with you guys in the league. Just based on your experience with them before, you mentioned a couple of things, but what are some keys to success against Notre Dame?
Well, first and foremost, their power play. It's by far the best in our league. You look through the box scores, it seems like they have 2 or 3 power play goals every night. They can put 5 really skilled kids on the ice who move the puck very well. They have good composure. They really look, for backdoor play. So, you really got to be aware of what's going on behind you when you're killing penalties, and then they really pounce on loose pucks. So whenever there's a shot, they got bodies all going towards the net. So, you got to be prepared to find that person, tie up their stick, and, get pucks out of the dangerous area, get them to the wall if you don't have a play. So really limiting their power play, and then they like to skate. So if you're not prepared to skate, it's going to be a long day, because they just seem to keep coming at you in waves. So, if we're prepared to skate and make sure we get pucks in the offensive zone and get a good forecheck, I think we'll have an opportunity to win.
Appreciate your time tonight, Sarah, and good luck.
Thank you.
There's Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats head coach Terry Pavley talking up this matchup with the Notre Dame Hounds. And David, This is a matchup that is of particular interest for everyone around the league, given we're dealing with the first place team and a team that's yet to lose a game in regulation. The only loss for the Hounds so far, 1-0 overtime defeat against Regina. They've only allowed 7 goals in 8 games. Both goaltenders have save percentages below 1, or goals against averages below 1. They're an exceptional defensive team.
2 of the goals of those 7 actually came against the Wildcats in their only meeting this year when Notre Dame recently beat Swift Current 4-2. But since then, Swift Current went on a bit of a run this past weekend in Saskatoon, as we alluded to there with Terry, and they picked up some big wins against a team that was also pretty high in the standings until that, and kind of relatively undefeated as well in the Stars. But Swift Current went in there and picked up a couple of critical, close wins there to vault them back atop of the standings. The only other team up there really battling with the 2 Notre Dame and Swift Current is the Regina Rebels, who Swift Current's handled pretty well this season. All 3 contests they've played, Swift Current has come out on top in all 3, 2 of them by overtime, and the other in regulation here just a couple of weeks ago in a 4-3 thriller where Ava Metzger scored the game winner with about 5 minutes left. She walked in over the blue line, made a great move on a defender and a one-on-one, and then went upstairs over the goaltender's glove hand to win that one for the Wildcats. But aside from that, Swift Current's losses have been against teams that have somewhat been a bit lower in the standings. One of them was against Battleford, who has actually been on a bit of a run recently. They've reeled off 4 straight wins. That win streak started when they beat Swift Current here on the back-to-back of a doubleheader on the Sunday afternoon. They edged out a win against Swift Current 3-2. And then one of their other wins or other losses came to Prince Albert really early on in the season. And that was on a back-to-back as well. Actually, that was the first game of a back-to-back. And then Swift Current really handled them the next game. I believe the score was 8-4. So it'll be interesting. We have 2 of the most high-teen offenses in the league, perhaps maybe the highest, aside from the one line that carries the Regina Rebels in Petford and crew there. But aside from that, it'll be interesting to see whose offense reigns supreme here tonight, Sean. And then goaltending battle. Swift Current's going to go with Carly Leonard, who's
yet to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Been unbelievable. We can talk about the Notre Dame Hounds goaltending and their numbers, and I know both their goalies are a 943 and then a 963, which is just insane. But Carly Leonard has been just as good for Swift Current, and actually she's only gotten better as the season has gone on. She currently has a 936. That's not a slouch in net numbers wise, and her goals against is only 1.77 in 6 games. And like Sean said, she's won all 6. So be interesting to see the goalie matchup, offense matchup, and the defense matchup. I know Pavley touched on pregame that the Hounds have some high offensive back-end players, and it's really going to come down to how Swift Current can control their own end. I know he's been preaching throughout the season, as I've spoken to him multiple times, is the defensive zone, the details in there, getting the puck, making a clean breakout, and going from there. He's not too worried about the offense, it doesn't seem like, and I don't really blame him. They have 4 lines that can go out there, and the majority of the time, all 4 can score.
Well, they've made a change, too, as of late, David, trying to balance out their lineups a little bit. And the benefit of that is instead of having 1 or 2 lines that are all loaded up and then really struggling to get your 3rd and 4th lines the minute you need to get them, they're spreading their lines out so they can really roll their 4. And then later in the game, if you need to shorten your bench up, you can do that. Or as he said in our interview, if you're on a weekend where you're playing back-to-backs, then you're not going to be as tired out. But you don't want to spend a lot of time chasing the puck in your own end. And so balancing your lines allows you to have a little more consistency, a little more flow to your game. That'll certainly benefit you, especially early on in the contest. And then as things go along, maybe you make the changes you have to make at that point.
And you're talking about when they want to load up, maybe later in games. I mean, when you have Watain, Thompson, Keller, Swan, Metzger, and McNinch as your top 6, you're kind of laughing. Those are all really good players, and all of them are point-of-game players plus, basically. McNinch is just a touch below, and so is Swan and Keller. But I mean, Keller has 7 goals in 12 games. That's spectacular. Swan's 5-5, 10 points in 12 games. McNinch, 2 goals, 6 assists, 11 games. Metzger, 7 goals in 9 games, 2 assists. Then you have Watain leading the team at 10 goals in just 12 games. That's incredible, 18 points. So she's really been off to a hot start. And then Samantha Thompson kind of went ham up in Saskatoon this past weekend and is now up to 13 points in 12 games. So, I mean, that's a really powerful top 6. You pair that with some really good defenders and offensive defensemen at times as well. And Caitlin Perlinger and Jessica Buffard, and Shelby Rubley's no slouch either. And she's actually just recently committed to school for next season. So that'll be an interesting one to watch as the season develops. And I know that she said that she's going to try and use the rest of the year as a building block to build to get to U Sports next year. But there's a lot of hockey left for the Wildcats this year, and as they continue to push to be at the top of the league standings, and if they want to stay there, I guess this is the team they got to beat, because they've beaten everyone else in the league essentially to this point.
Well, yeah, it's one thing to get to first, the other thing to stay. And when it comes down to it, Notre Dame's been the best team in the league so far. The Wildcats have played 4 more games. So if you're going to be in first place, you're going to compete for a championship, at some point you're probably going to have to deal with the Hounds. And here's an opportunity to see, now that they've made the changes they've made to their lineup and their line composition, how will that allow them to match up better against a very deep Notre Dame team? There's 8 or 9 players on this Hounds team that are among the better players in the league. Wildcats feel like they have a similar number, the similar level of depth, and so it's going to be a competition of that depth. And I think when you have 2 teams that play defense this well, 2 teams that are as deep as they are, it's going to be a matter of staying out of the penalty box for one, and who wants the front of the net a little bit more. Because you're not going to get probably the 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s in this game. You're not going to get the wide open looks in the slot, so you're going to have to be a little more determined in the blue paint if you want to win this game.
I think with 2 high-powered teams like this as well, and just really good overall teams, I think strategy comes into play a lot more, just with more skill on the ice. I think strategy will really maybe rear its head tonight as these 2 square off. Now, one thing I find interesting, and this shouldn't be as a shock, but when you look down the rosters, all of Swift Current's players are from Saskatchewan. You take a gander down the Hounds roster, they got players from Australia. They got players from Spain. They got players from Manitoba and Alberta. It's just
Russia.
Really Russia isn't exactly like it's.
I mean, that's the unique reality of being an academy team versus being a community-based team, and it allows us the opportunity to see some players from interesting places. You know, I think it's a cool opportunity to get a chance as a fan, even just to watch a goaltender like Filipova from Russia, or Phoebe Roberts coming over here from Sydney. I mean, that's a unique thing you don't get to see every day. And while it certainly gives Notre Dame an advantage in terms of building their roster, it provides some unique viewing for a hockey fan.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, looking at the roster, they do still have some players from the surrounding area. I mean, Bailey Lindsay, one of their goaltenders, is from Regina. Ellie Goldman from Moose Jaw. Kyra Anderson from Regina. So, I mean, there's Wilcox. Brianne White is from Wilcox, Saskatchewan. So, I mean, they certainly do. There's a couple more down towards the end. Merriman is from Wilcox. And, I mean, they got about six homegrown talented players, but they've just built around them with players from outside. We're about getting ready here.
Now the referees are just skating onto the ice now. And we're getting set for action.
Come.
And here come the Wildcats. The Innovation Credit Union Wildcats take to the ice. One of the toughest tests they're going to face this season, coming off some of the best hockey they played. David, 2 wins on the road in Saskatoon. The perennial top team in this league, although maybe a little off that usual level the last couple of years. That's still a huge building block coming into this matchup.
Yeah, and the Wildcats will obviously look to build on that. I know Terry spoke about it in pregame, and I mean, they have been on a bit of a roll. Swift Current's picked up wins in 5 of their last 6. Now, I guess it's not a huge roll when you look at the other team, and maybe they haven't lost the game this season in regulation, but I mean, 5 of 6 is no slouch, and Swift Current's obviously going to want to build on that, but the Hounds are obviously going to, on the other side, just look to keep rolling. I mean, they've really been rolling. They just came off a 6-0 win against the Weyburn Goldwings last night and kind of dispatched them relatively easy.
Well, and that's a team that you have to beat. I mean, that's the reality of it, but sometimes the separation between the truly great teams and just the good teams is handling the games that you have to win. Taking care of business in some of those nights where it's harder to get that motivation. And playing the way you want to play on a consistent basis. As we listen into our national anthem. We are almost set for action here at the Fairview West Arena in Swift Current. I'm Sean Mullen along with David Zammit. Thanks to Taylor, who's running our camera for the first period here today. And our team at Amateur Sports TV Production Studios as well. Always a pleasure. It'll be McNints coming to center ice for the Wildcats. Up against Gilroy for Notre Dame, and we're off. Bacchus banks that ahead. Dumped into Hound territory, not deep. Little race for the puck. And that'll stop at the Notre Dame blue line. Gobin's got it. Back towards the goal. Oh, a little bit of a loose puck there. Gobin's a player to watch in this game. Exceptional start to the season with 6 points in 8 games and a real puck mover on the blue line as that's dumped in behind the net by Gilroy. Loose puck bouncing around. Whacked to the wall by Urich, not out. Now another try, hits off some skates, and that'll be gobbled up by the player to watch for the Notre Dame Hounds, McKibben. McKibben works it back to the line. There's a wrist shot, hits skates in front. Here's McKibben again. Trying to cut towards the slot. That pass just rolls off the stick of Anderson. Out to the neutral zone it goes. McKibben, 13 points in 8 games so far this season. Goes to the net and chips that one over top of Leonard. And the Wildcats goal.
McKibben's 5th in league scoring coming into this contest and might even be higher if she had the games played that the others do ahead of her. Jersey Watain for Swift Current is on that list, and she's currently sitting in 2nd with 18 points in 12 games.
Bacchus moves it up the wall. Chance to clear, held in at the line. Great chance. They score, and it's a quick goal for Notre Dame. Spring Mossett will open the scoring on a giveaway the Wildcats won't like. Just up the middle there, they got stuck in their zone for a couple shifts in a row, and it's Mossett taking advantage to give the Hounds a 1-0 lead on her 4th of the year.
Swan was looking for Thompson up in the center of the ice area. Swan had it along the half boards for Swift Current, looking for Thompson in the center of the ice, and it was picked off. And next thing you know, the Hounds are walking in, and they score a pretty quick goal there on Leonard on her blocker side to put the Hounds up early, 1-0. We're only just under 2 minutes into this game. The Hounds already have 3 shots, so they've come out firing here, and Swift Current's gonna have to maybe win this draw and get the puck out of their zone and kind of get something going on their end of things.
Well, McKibben on the shift before the goal was real key in hemming Swift Current into their own zone. A couple of rushes in a row, a couple of puck battles won, a couple of clearing attempts that didn't get out, and a line for the Wildcats that got stuck on the ice as Notre Dame was able to get fresh bodies. That leads to a goal, an early 1-0 edge. And the Wildcats will certainly have to protect the puck better than that as the game progresses against a good team like this. Even a 1-0 deficit can be too much against this team.
Well, when you've only given up, less than a goal a game, although we did allude to Swift Current's got 2 of the 7 goals scored on the Hounds this year, but still, 2 goals, that means you got to shut it down from here if you're only going to get 2 on them, potentially.
Puck dumped in for the Wildcats by Rubley, but she was behind center. They're going to whistle that for an icing. And the Wildcats stuck back in their own zone, looking to build a little bit of momentum here in the early going, down 1-0 against these Notre Dame Hounds. Out on the draw, Gilroy. Winning it for Notre Dame, comes to the wall. Rubley makes a good play on it. Deflects towards the line. Held in there and dumped to the corner quickly. Wrap around try. Good stick in front, and there's going to be a penalty behind the play. I think they're both going.
Yeah, Wingert will be going for Swift Current, and it'll be... I didn't see who the number was on that.
I think
for the Hounds.
Amy Dovranchuk. Number 15, Dovranchuk.
Yeah, from Regina, Saskatchewan, the capital.
Draw to the right of the Swift Current goal. It stays 5-on-5. So no power play for either team here. And you heard Terry Pavley, the Wildcats coach, allude to it before the game. They don't want to take penalties against this Notre Dame squad.
He's probably okay with coincidentals, but anything more than that, he's not going to be too happy with, that's for sure. I know it potentially cost them the game late against Battlefords a couple of weeks ago here. They took a couple of late penalties, and I'm sure Pavley wasn't happy about that one for sure.
Sometimes it's just something you can't avoid. There's good penalties, but you know the teams you have to be extra cautious against. Roberts, the Australian, going after that and moving it up to center ice. Down into Wildcat territory now, and Jones will go fetch that across to Bouffard, one of the alternate captains in Swift Current.
I couldn't imagine how many players from Australia there are, even in minor hockey in Canada across the board.
As that one's iced by the Wildcats, and it's going to be back down the ice into Swift Current territory again. 1-0. Notre Dame leading this one in the first.
Sure, the infrastructure is completely different too. Rinks everywhere in Canada, whereas Australia, you're probably traveling maybe hours to get to a rink.
Well, it depends where you live. From Sydney, I imagine there's going to be a couple. But if you're in the Outback, I don't think you're playing too much hockey.
Maybe with the Dingoes and...
McNitch will make the move into Wildcat territory, or into Notre Dame territory. Can't get a shot through. Puck comes to the corner. Kerwin behind the net. McNitch going for it on the wall. And that'll be cleared out. Back at the Wildcat line, there's Bacchus. Moves it to center. Skating up with it now, Urich. Into the corner. Urich leaves it there. McNitch centers, and that's redirected wide by Jersey Watain, the offensive leader for the Wildcats. Puck skated back to the line. Rolls off the stick that time of Samantha Thompson. In the corner, played up the wall. Wildcats getting their first extended pressure here. Bacchus pinching in and keep it alive. That'll come across to the left point. Race for it. Held in for Swift Current by Perlinger. That's dumped back around behind the net. Good pressure here by Swift Current. Chance to clear for Notre Dame. Sent to the line, and Roberts couldn't deflect it out. Penalty coming. Well, it's to the Wildcats. I saw Swift Current touch the puck, I thought. And that's a tough turn of events here for Swift Current to have that extended sequence in the offensive zone and then end up shorthanded at the end of it.
And McNitch just came off the ice briefly there, so Thompson could get out there with her line, and she'll be right in the draw circle, and she's been fantastic in the draw circle all year. The Hounds will go to a 5-on-4 power play here. Puck back to the point, quick shot. Buffard will be on it into the corner. Hounds on the puck behind the net. There's a bit of a scrum there. Appel on the puck for the Wildcats now. Appel will just chip it out, and it'll go the length of the ice as Swift Current will look to regroup and set up in their zone as the Hounds will try and break it out. It'll be McNitch pressuring high. Hounds across center. Loses there as Rubley makes a good stand-up play at the line. And McNitch all over the defender there. McNitch really pushing her back. McNitch in over the line just off the edge of her stick. As looked like she was potentially going to have a chance there. The Hounds will look to break it back out. Come in over the red line. That's cut off. Another great defensive play this time by Wildcats captain Ava Metzger to turn the Hounds back the other way. Hounds will go to dump it in, but that's cut off. In over the line, and it looks like it may have been close to an offside, but they did hold the line in time. Great stick check by Buffard. Under the stick, picks it up, fires it the length of the ice. Great start to the penalty kill for the Wildcats. There's about 45 seconds left in this Hounds power play, the first of the game. 13-10 remaining in the first period. And Hansen's just going to wire it back down from the center ice. Swift Current's doing, like I said, an amazing job at killing this one. Wingert on the puck for Swift Current. Just killing more time down in the Hounds zone. Looking for Metzger out front. Down to 23 seconds on that Hounds power play as the Hounds finally look to break out. And they're just going to dump it in and try and get something set up. Bacchus back there to clear it and just cut off by the Hounds. Bacchus again on a second attempt. It's cut off. Tries to go for the slot, and Hansen makes a great stick play in the high slot to stop the pass from going into the center ice area. Swift Current has killed that penalty, which is huge given that the Hounds have been deadly on the power play to start this season, and I'm sure Terry's going to be happy the Wildcats escape that and just keep it at a 1-goal deficit. Wingert with the puck, hits Thompson. Thompson just over the line, but loses it. Wildcats look like they have a bit of a break here coming back the other way, but strong move by Keller to get over there. Buffard gets the puck out of the high slot area. It'll be Thompson and Keller battling in there with a couple of Hounds, and one of the Hounds there was Roberts. Hounds looking to come back the other way. Mossett with the puck, the goal scorer earlier in the game, under 2 minutes in, she scored. Thompson with an outlet, but hit the backside of Keller's skate, but Jones will take off for the Wildcats and just dump it in from the red line. Georgette behind the net for Swift Current, looking to set up shop. She's cut off pretty quickly, though, and the Hounds will look to go the other way. Buffard makes a strong play at the line to keep it in. Just sends it back behind the net. Georgette in there, pressuring. Swift Current trying to keep it in. Appel keeps it in. Keller keeps it to the line, but now it's out. It'll be Perlinger skating onto the puck for Swift Current. She's just going to skate back, look for some options. Finds the option, and that's her D partner, Buffard. Buffard kind of runs into a bit of traffic there as Notre Dame was pressuring. That was Anderson that pressured her. Anderson back on the puck for the Hounds. McNitch all over her. McNitch with a takeaway from Anderson. Hits Keller to get out of the zone. McNitch back on the puck, just going to skate it in. She's trying to get across the line, cut off there. Urich sends it in, but it'll be an offside draw just outside of the Hound zone. We have 10:38 to play in the first period. The shots are in favor of the Hounds, 5-1 currently. McNitch on the draw. She loses one, which is a bit of a rarity. She's been an absolute power horse in the draw this year leading up to this point. Perlinger on the puck back in the Swift Current zone.
Well, that was an important penalty kill, wasn't it, David? For the Wildcats to get shorthanded after that real good sequence inside Notre Dame territory. They want to build on that now that they're back to 5-on-5.
I think you can build off the fact that you just killed the penalty against the Hounds. I mean, they've been nothing short of spectacular on the power play this year when they've had the man advantage.
And sometimes coming out of a penalty kill, that momentum you get from that can be huge if you're able to build on it and turn that around and go back to what you did on that last shift. Just avoid the penalty as Thompson chases after it here for Swift Current. Puck played away from her, deflected to center. That's off a skate and turned over. Here come the Hounds. Good opportunity for Drinichuk and can't get a shot through. That's cleared back out. Drinichuk, who was in the box earlier for coincidental penalties, heads off for change. Wildcat gets the puck. Centering feed in the skates of Watain. Held in at the line. Rung around to the corner. Henry will try and clear. Good battle at the line to hold it in there for Swift Current, at least momentarily by Rubley. And now the Hounds will clear. Nice move into the zone there for Notre Dame by Parrott, and a penalty coming to Swift Current as a result.
Rubley will be taking that. It'll be a hooking call. She kind of got turned a little bit inside out there. And she'll be headed off for two. And, I mean, they just come off a power play. They get some pressure. They start to build, and then Swift Current gets caught again. So, obviously,
turnovers. You have a turnover that led to the first goal, then a neutral zone turnover there that leads to a chance, and a little bit of a push by Parrott. And those turnovers, with a team that's got that speed and skill, are going to kill you in a game like this. End up shorthanded here, and there's a shorthanded opportunity to race after the puck for Metzger.
Metzger is a spectacular penalty killer for Swift Current as well. Swift Current just killed off that previous 2 minute, and the Hounds really didn't set up anything in that entire 2 minutes, which is
nice aggressive play in the neutral zone there by Wingert, forcing the Hounds back again. No opportunity to get that breakout.
She recently picked up her first goal of the season. Was the last Wildcat to get on the score sheet this season. So an impressive feat by the team.
Another play, nice play by Wingert on the entry. Chance to clear, McNinch can't get it out. Real good penalty kill so far, but still a minute left in it as the Wildcats give up control here. Hounds work it back to the line. That's on Anderson's stick, thrown out front, deflected to the wall. Collected there by Parrott. And a good stick to knock that puck out. Nice play by Jessica Bouffard.
Parrott certainly got her fair share of points last year against Swift Current in the limited play that the teams were able to get in. And another strong play by Swift Current there is Keller will ice the puck. And really, they're just, the Hounds maybe even set up there, but they didn't get anything towards the net that was really dangerous.
Only 20 seconds left in the penalty kill here, as the Wildcats have done a terrific job on the PK. Good sticks, good positioning, some aggressive play at key times. Oh, and a turnover here right in front. And a good save made by Leonard as that bounced off the end boards and everybody lost it. Not much of an angle to shoot, but Leonard had to be sharp as we're back to 5-on-5 now. Still only a 1-0 Hounds lead as that puck is shot wide of the Swift Current goal. Battle for it on the wall. Thompson knocking down one of the Hounds in the process as that one cycled behind the net by Merriman. Loose puck collected by Keller. Clearing attempt doesn't get out. Second try does. Now Bacchus has it. Banks it ahead, and Watain will deflect it deep. Wildcats trail 1-0. 6:35 to go in the first.
Supposed to be your home rink, but that bounce off the backboards came out in front of Leonard was anything but a home bounce.
Wildcats force a turnover inside Hound territory. Now battling for it in the corner. 4-player puck battle. Swift Current comes away with it. Cycle attempt there to Kerwin. Behind the net, forced off her stick, played up the wall. And the Hounds are able to clear. Bouffard dumps it right back into Notre Dame territory, and the chase is on. Kerwin, the cousin of former Wildcat Bailey Kerwin, going after that one.
Who was the Wildcats captain last year as well.
McNitch in the corner. Knocked away from her. And the Hounds are able to skate that one out. Backhanded down to the Wildcats line. Bouffard makes a good play across her blue line to Jones. Now it's center. That deflects back to Jones again. Little room to skate. Passed it off. And the shot attempt that time from Appel didn't get through.
So if Curtis got some pressure, and I mean, aside from the penalty kills, they've been almost carrying play in the Hounds zone, but they just don't have any shots to really show for it yet.
Well, nothing to the net. And good to have cycle time, good to have zone time. They've got to find a way to get it into that blue paint area. Exactly what we were talking about before the game, and a scramble around the Hounds goal is going to be covered up. The first kind of dangerous moment in Notre Dame territory.
Did we maybe jinx it there? That was kind of a weird one, as it came off the side of the net and then somehow came out in front of Filipova, and just kind of a scrum there. And I don't know if Swift Current was able to get much out of it, but it was certainly dangerous, as it was kind of in the paint area, and Filipova didn't see it right away, so everyone kind of headed there and kind of got a poke in.
Puck thrown towards the front of the goal, and Notre Dame's going to be able to clear this one. Dumped down into Wildcat territory, wide of the net that time by Parrott. Loose puck, centered, Parrott, point blank, and Leonard with a big-time save. What an opportunity there. And Leonard had to come up big to maintain only a one-goal deficit. Puck back to the line. Here's Govin. Steers that one in. Comes all the way to the corner. Grab for Notre Dame by Anderson. Cycled down, looking for McKibben. Comes up the wall. Keller can't clear. Second whack does get that puck out and down into Notre Dame territory.
I have no idea how Parrott's not in the box right now. She just clearly elbowed Shelby Rubley in the head, and Rubley headed off, holding and shaking her mask a bit. It was not a clean play, and the ref was only about 10 feet away from it.
Neutral zone puck. Watain trying to race to it. Good block of the dump in at center. Fed ahead. Thompson over to the right side now. Swan driving towards the net and slides that through the crease. And a penalty coming to the Hounds. And Swan does exactly what we spoke of. It's one thing to have skill. You got to get it to the goal. And Swan, with a player right on her, drags that puck to the front and slid that through the crease area.
Such a strong power move there.
Yeah.
To go around outside and then cut back in. She almost had the goaltender, too. She had the goaltender down. If she was able to hold on to it a little longer on the back end, she slides that in, and we're a 1-1 game. However, Swift Current has a 2-minute power play now, and there's only 3:48 remaining in the first, but what's going on here?
There's going to be an equipment issue for the goaltender. Eva Filipova out of Russia. They're going to have to deal with her pads or her skate here for a moment. Not necessarily a bad thing. Wildcats get a chance to set up their man advantage.
Kind of a free timeout for Pavley and crew.
So that power play, McNinch, Watain, Keller, the forwards, Metzger, and Perlinger running the point. It's going to be their top unit. They look to work an umbrella-style man advantage. Well, they're going to switch netminders. The equipment issue is significant enough that Bailey Lindsay is coming in for Notre Dame.
And
Lindsay, by the way, 4-0 on the season. 0.75 goals against average. .943 save percentage.
she played last night against Weyburn and picked up a shutout in that game.
Wildcats working the power play here. Middle of the point. Wrist shot through traffic. And Lindsay tested early. Makes a big save. Back to the line again. Perlinger had it deflect away from her out to the neutral zone. But that was a really good low shot by Perlinger from the middle of the point. Back in comes Watain. A bit of a stumble on the blue line from the Hounds. as Watane's able to gain the zone. Metzger passed it. McNinch sets up. Shot across the bow in front of the net. Deflected wide by Keller. And cleared out down the ice with 1:15 to go in the Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcat power play. Down 1-0. 2:57 to go in the first here. Watane tries a cross ice pass that deflects to center and dumps right back down into Wildcat territory. Perlinger pressured well, and it's stolen away by Notre Dame's Gilroy. Thrown towards the front of the goal as well, trying to put some shorthanded pressure on. And this is where the Wildcat power play has been on the ice for more than a minute. Fatigue could be a bit of a factor with the pressure coming from Notre Dame's penalty killers. As Keller gains the line, drop pass for Watane. Keller in the slot! And her shot's blocked. She had a really good look there. Watane had the puck slide away from her. Metzger pinches in, grabs it, centers it, hit off a skate, and that'll be cleared away again. And the Wildcats need fresh bodies, so 4/5 of that power play group heads off.
Lindsay's a southpaw as well, so you see a normal goaltender catching-wise, and now you're switching to a southpaw. It's, in period, I'm sure, a bit of a adjustment for shooters as well.
And an offside against the Wildcats. 7 seconds remaining on their man advantage. And a good start to the power play there, but once it was dumped down the ice, already 45 seconds into it, it seemed like they didn't have the legs against the penalty killers down low.
Yeah, and the change kind of got delayed a bit because of it, and then, like you said, the power play was basically over, and now it is over.
Dragging it towards the front was Swan, who drew the penalty. Worked back to the line. Bouffard shooting. That's blocked, but a good job keeping the puck in play. Worked back down to the corner again. Here's a shot. Blocker save made by Lindsay, and she'll cover up the rebound as the Wildcats start to get some traffic in that blue paint area. Exactly what they need to do. And with 1:32 to go in the period, they're trying to finish it strong.
It's the first shift. Shelby Rubley's out there since taking that high hit by Parrott earlier in the frame. The Wildcats are starting to get shots. They're up to 5 now. Hounds sitting at 10, where it was 10-1 just a couple of minutes ago.
Still only a 1-goal lead for Notre Dame. That early opportunity pounced on by Spring Mossett as the puck is knocked just out to the neutral zone. Here's a chance, slid just away from the stick of Gilroy. Moved back behind the net for Merriman. She lost it in her skates. Rubley trying to play her tough. Down the stretch we come here in the first period. Centered, great chance, and a big-time save by Keller on Amy Drevenichuk, who has been around the net. Here's a drive from the point. Oh, that just caught the shoulder of Keller, or of the Leonard, and is cleared out very quickly by Price, who skated that to center to get the line change.
Hard point shot there that was able to find its way through for the Hounds, but Leonard was there to keep it a 1-goal game, and McNinch will be headed back the other way with tons of speed.
McNinch pulls wide, forced to the outside. Good defensive play by Govan on her. Now a shot from a tough angle, hits off the side of the goal after going off of Lindsay's pads. Nice job to get it through to the net, though, that time by Perlinger, and that'll be cleared out to center. We've got 3 seconds left in the period, and that'll do it. Ooh, we get a little battle at the whistle. Perlinger and Mossett, who's the goal scorer for Notre Dame, exchanging pleasantries at the buzzer. And you know it's a battle for top spot as the tempers are flaring. These two very proud hockey teams want every inch of this game, knowing how important every shift is, every battle, every turnover, every puck to the net. And it's the Hounds leading 1-0 after 20 minutes of play on an early turnover and a goal by Spring Mossett. But a much better finish to the first period for the Wildcats, David.
Yeah, the Wildcats, you could essentially say after the 10-minute mark, had almost all the play in the Hound zone. And then the chances started to come. They just kind of ran out of time. They had a good power play to start. fell apart a little bit in the back half, but that's just because the Hounds cleared it and got a bit of pressure, killed some time there, and Swift wasn't able to get the change. But the score is close like we expect. The shots are somewhat deceiving. The Hounds at 11 and Swift at 5 because Swift's carried maybe more of the play or had the puck more of the time, that's for sure.
Well, we should note, though, even in that better part of the play for Swift, if you give any real estate to the Hounds, there's 3 or 4 grade A quality chances right around the net. Now we're going to have a chat with Swift Current Wildcats assistant coach Blake Vogt. Blake, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
It's another tight period against Notre Dame. They got a jump on you there early. How did you analyze the first period as a whole?
Yeah, well, one thing I think the positive was our penalty kill. They have a very good power play, and I thought we did a good job at kind of not letting them enter the zone and really get set up that well. So we'll take that, and then we just got to work on kind of getting our feet moving when we have the puck. We get a pass, and then we just kind of want to sit still, and they're a good team, and they come with pressure, and then, you don't have any time or space to make a play if you're just going to stand there. So
they had to jump on you early, got a goal on a turnover, seemed to be winning some battles in your zone, and then you guys changed the momentum. And that only led to shots when you finally got a power play. But what do you think it was that got you guys moving in the other direction and able to control the pace of the play as the first period went along?
Yeah, I think the main key was passing. Our passing in that rate when they kind of came out on us hard, we probably made 1 out of 10 passes. And if we can't execute the passes against a good team, it's going to end up in the back of our net. So once we started actually making some passes and kind of getting some flow going, that's how we kind of turned it around.
Well, and as the period went on, there was a little more emphasis, it seemed like, of trying to get to the blue paint. I don't know if that was talk on the bench or just players starting to get that momentum going, but we saw Swan draw a penalty by doing that. We saw 2 or 3 plays around the net as you got later into the period. Has that got to be how you guys are going to score against a team that doesn't give up much?
Yeah, I think so. When you got a good goalie and good defense on their side, that's how goals go in, is kind of getting some of those garbage goals. So put the puck on net and go to the net, and usually good things happen. And like you said, you can draw the odd penalty as well.
Even though I thought you guys had the better of the play as the period went along, you give up anything to these guys, they're going to get it to you right away. And there's 2 or 3 chances right around your net in the later stages of the first period where Leonard had to be big. Just talk about her preparedness and how important that was. You needed those saves to make it still a 1-goal game after one, and it kind of came out of nowhere on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, well, first off, when they're one of the top teams in the league, you make a mistake, and usually they get a good chance to capitalize on it. And, you can't do that type of stuff. And, yeah, she's been a rock back there all year for us. And plus, I'm goaltending. It's not always how many saves you make, but when you make those big saves, and even at the end of the period when you can make that big save and we're only going down 1 instead of 2, can make a big difference in the game too.
Thanks a lot, Blake. Appreciate it. That's Blake Vogt, assistant coach of the Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats, who trail the Notre Dame Hounds in a battle for first place in the Saskatchewan U18 AAA League through 20 minutes of play. I'm Sean Mullen with David Zammit. Taylor did a great job for us on camera there in that first period.
Kept up with it better than I could. So,
yeah,
certainly a good job on his part, and been an entertaining game. Certainly to this point, I didn't hear too much of what assistant coach said there, but I'm sure they got to be happy. It's a close game. This is probably what they expect. They probably just want a bit more offense, I'm assuming, at this point.
Well, I think what he was saying is that in the early going, their passes were a little off the mark. They weren't moving their feet quite enough when they were receiving those passes. Just had to get skating, and really we saw a much better Wildcats team after the first 5-6 minutes of that first period were done. At the same time, when you make a mistake against the Hounds, even as they played better, those mistakes tend to lead to quality chances. And there were 2, 3, or 4 quality chances in the last 5 minutes of that period just because of that. You always have to be careful, but the blueprint is certainly there from how they played in the later stages of the period. Driving to the net more, moving their feet, quicker passes on the mark, and staying out of the box, of course, can be a factor. But they did a lot of things right as that period went along, and the key is going to be staying that way consistently throughout the rest of this game.
If they can continue that play like they played in the back half of that first period, you have to think, and I know maybe Weyburn wasn't a super tough test last night. However, Notre Dame had to play last night, so if Kern hasn't played since Sunday. fatigue might be a factor as the game goes on. Maybe not a ton, but legs are fresh. Legs are a little burned. There is certainly going to be a difference. We'll have to watch for it.
Back-to-back games matter. They absolutely do. And one team's played them and the other team hasn't. And if you're rolling 4 lines like the Wildcats are trying to, then you should be able to really lean on these guys as the game goes along. So that, again, is where moving your feet, keeping your shift short, making sure you're making those quick decisions can help tire a team out. But if you end up shorthanded a couple more times, then you're the ones who are going to get fatigued.
And you're actually kind of giving the Hounds a bit of a break at that point.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to move as much when you're on the power play, or at least just shouldn't have to move as much when you're on the power play. You can set up, be stationary a little more.
Yeah.
Your top guns are out there who probably are built a little more for playing a bit more, and especially in those kind of situations. So,
all right, well, we'll take our first intermission break and come back with second period action from the Fairview West Arena in Swift Current. It's a 1-0 Notre Dame Hounds lead after 20 minutes of play on Spring Mossett's goal. This is Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats hockey on Amateur Sports TV.
All right, guys, make sure you watch that coverage out there.
Speaking of coverage, you guys got supplemental insurance?
Who is this guy?
No one can cover me.
You can be covered for any accident, anytime, anywhere, Canada and the USA. Learn more at supplementalinsurance.ca.
Hi.
Oh, brutal. Maybe I should get some of that coverage.
At CM Engrave, we create more than just trophies, medals, and signs. We create time. Time for family. Time for growing your business. Time for the moments that make you, you. With more than 30 years experience for all your engraving needs. CM Engrave.
Welcome to Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. Students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot Mountain Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
David Zammit back here live at the Fairview West Arena in Swift Current, and a matchup between the Notre Dame Hounds, the visiting Notre Dame Hounds, and the host Swift Current Wildcats. And we're about 4.5 minutes out from returning back to action here in the second period. Hounds up 1-0 on an early goal by Spring Mossett. It was about a minute 40 into the first period when the Hounds struck to get that lead, and they, I don't want to say hung on there, but Swift Current certainly controlled the back half of play in that period and had lots of sustained pressure, but weren't able to get a ton of grade A chances. The grade A chances did come. They came at the back half of the first, especially within the last few minutes, as Swift Current was able to start to get pucks to the net. They're up to 5 shots, and a bit of an interesting situation as well is the Hounds kind of used 2 goalies in the first period, and I'm not sure they meant to. Not sure if it was an injury that forced them into that, or if it was an equipment issue where the coaches or refs just told them they got to make the switch. So Filipova started. She's from Russia, number 34 of the Hounds, and about 3 minutes left in the first period, she ended up having to switch out of the net, and Lindsay came into the net for the Hounds, kind of took over there, and she played the back half, and I think she might have actually seen more shots than Filipova in the front half of the first period. Now, about 3 minutes out from returning to action here, as the teams will start to line up, and they'll be ready to go here for an interesting period, as the Wildcats will be a lot closer to us in person here in this period coming up, at least offensively, I mean. And if what happens in the back half of that first happens here to start the second, we'll see a lot of them a lot up closer at this point, whereas the Hounds will be going the other way. Swift Current's looking to build, like we've alluded to a couple of times, they're looking to build on that winning 5 of 6 recently coming into this one, whereas the Hounds just look to keep rolling and rolling. That's all they've done since puck drop on opening night for them.
It'll be interesting to see what happens from a goaltending perspective here, David. As we saw Russian netminder Eva Filipova come out of the game in the later stages of the first period, right when the Wildcats went on their lone power play, replaced by Bailey Lindsay. And will it be Lindsay or Filipova for the second period? Not that it really matters one way or another.
Yeah, when you have 2 elite goaltenders, it probably, like you said, doesn't matter a ton. Although it looks like it'll be Filipova, so
it was an equipment issue then. It was just an equipment issue that was going to take too long to deal with. And I have to say, that was really impressive from Lindsay to come in that situation completely cold and face a power play right away and stop, I think, 3 or 4 of the Wildcats shots in that period as she came right off the bench just in the late stages of the period.
0 warm-up time and a Perlinger shot coming right at her on the line with multiple bodies in front within the first 10 seconds of the power play. So testament to, her being ready, sharp, and just how good she's been this year. I mean, her numbers are sparkling. So are Filipova's. Like you said, it probably doesn't matter a ton who's in net for either of the teams as we get underway.
And we're off. Second period action between the Swift Current Diamond Energy, or the Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats and the Notre Dame Hounds.
Used to be Diamond Energy for so long, Sean.
Yeah, you get accustomed even to sponsors. It's funny. It's like how they're changing the Staples Center to the crypto something or other arena. It'll take us forever to get used to that. You get nostalgic for sponsors.
Yeah, I still call it the Sky Dome.
Right. Here's Govan. Pass up to Anderson in the neutral zone. Now dumped in deep for Notre Dame by McKibben. We'll see how the teams come out. Notre Dame was the better team in the first 5 minutes in the first period. Then the Wildcats settled in. Can't afford, though, another start like that here as that shot deflects out of play.
One thing the Wildcats will probably look to do here a little more in the second is I know they were in shooting lanes, but maybe get a bit more body or sticks on those shots going towards the net. Hounds up to 12 shots already as they got one here early in the second period. Rubley banking it around back. Kerwin in there battling. Swift Current breaking it out.
Here's a chance at center. Wildcats enter the zone and forced to the outside quickly there as Urich came in but couldn't get established. Now centered. That's off Kerwin's stick and quickly covered up by Eva Filipova. And you know what? It's nice to see. We talked about those players from the other countries on the roster for Notre Dame. We all want to see women's hockey develop. We don't want it to be just Canada against the United States every year in every international tournament. So if it's coming over to North America, that's going to help that development. That'll be great to see. I hope to see a better women's team from Russia. Maybe Filipova will be a part of that down the line.
Don't you find it somewhat interesting? I'm not even sure the exact wording I'm looking for, but the disparity in women's hockey, it is, no offense, just a two-team race for a gold medal. I mean,
most
Finland can be in there and compete.
Here's a chance. Kerwin shooting. And Filipova catches that, and a nice job getting to the net for the Wildcats by Kiana McNitch to make sure if there's any loose change, she could cash it.
Probably one of the reasons why she was on Team Saskatchewan that went to Manitoba in those Western regionals that came out with a bronze medal, and several players on the Hounds were on that team as well. As
quick shot off the face-off. Great job getting that to the net by Swan, who's been hungry for the goal in the early going in this contest. And Filipova's had to be sharp on a couple of early chances here, leading 1-0. Govan back for the Hounds. Under pressure, backhanded that out to the neutral zone. Jones couldn't get a piece of that. Bouffard knocks it in the head for Jones now. Stopped as they tried to get back into the zone, and Jones will track it down into her own end. Pass out to the neutral zone. Thompson gets behind the D, and good play by Govan to break that up. Thompson got in behind Herman, but Govan with a great stride to catch up to her.
Swan with another strong attempted move towards the net there, but was cut off. Like you said, she's really been trying to drive to the net, and something the Wildcats will have to do to potentially get on the board.
Puck in the neutral zone here. Fired back in deep by Bouffard. And quickly cleared. Here comes Notre Dame. Parrott gains the line, left wing side, forced to the outside. Good D here by Swift Current. Perlinger knocked it up the wall, doesn't get out. Now digging in there for the Wildcats was Wingert. Comes back out for a hard shot. That time off the stick of Ryan Parrott, and a good blocker save made by Leonard. Parrott driving again, and that one's deflected into the corner. Good shift for Parrott. Good entry, and then stayed with the puck, won some battles, got some shots. Puck held in at the line and slid wide. Off the deflection in front by Notre Dame's Anderson. And away come the Wildcats. Perlinger gains center, dumps it in deep. Chased in behind the net, but not reached that time by Price, and cleared right back out. Perlinger trying to dump it in again, got blocked. Bouncing puck, backhanded ahead for Notre Dame. And entering the zone now, Vernichuk took it to the front, and that'll be covered up and held by goaltender Carly Leonard. And we've got 15:58 to go in this second period. 1-0, Notre Dame leading. Our broadcast brought to you by the Supplement King in Swift Current. Downtown, just across from Pharmacy. Check out the Supplement King. Say hello to our buddy Chris Martins,
the owner of Supplement King here in Swift Current.
Let him know what you think of his beard. It's out of control. Puck's at center ice. Skated in momentarily by Metzger. Now into the zone comes Keller. Hard check on Georgette. She got that deep. Puck's on the wall again. Good solid hit on Georgette by Merriman. Kind of walking the line of the body contact rule. Kerwin's after it in the corner now. Keller in to help out. White was able to keep them off that puck, and eventually Notre Dame clears it out. Skating it back in now. And a long shot by Rubley is dropped, but cleared out for Notre Dame. Filipova had a little bit of difficulty with that one.
Kind of handcuffed her a little bit as she wasn't really sure whether to kick it aside with her, or punch it aside with her blocker or play it with her glove, and then kind of took a awkward little dribble bounce off her glove when she did decide to play it with that one.
When you see that, even if it's a fluke, it does get into the minds of the shooters for the Wildcats. Go glove, go glove. Test it out a couple more times here. And away comes Swift Current to center. Fired in deep by the Wildcats. McNitch gets away from the forecheck of Watain. Held in at the line by Jones, and there's a collision. Couple of players down in the process. And the Hounds will dump that puck deep. Jones back for it. Good recovery. Moved it behind the net. And away come the Wildcats. Out to center for Watain. 18 points on the year. She stopped at the Notre Dame line. And here's Govan. Long lead pass by Govan. Drenachek has it, tries to drive the net, and got stopped. That was a great feed. 2 strides and a long outlet pass right on the tape by Govan.
Another good play by Bouffard defensively there as Jones was in a bit of trouble as it looked like she might get walked there. And Bouffard realized that, came over, made a strong stick play to get the puck off the Hounds and kind of get it back out to center as the Hounds will dump it back in.
Fired in deep by Kuzminski. 1-0 Notre Dame still leading this contest. We're in the second period of Swift Current Wildcat action on ASTV as the puck's played to the line, held in by Govan. Her shot's blocked into the corner. Collected there by McKibben. To the line. Did that hold? Nope. That'll be an offside, so the Wildcats have a little time. Move to center ice, and Swan dumps that in wide of the Notre Dame goal for a line change. Traced by Appel. Knocked away from her by Govan. Played to center. Appel picks it off. Takes it back in for Swift. Backhand pass across to the front of the goal, and trying to go forehand there was Price. Had it knocked away from her before she could pull the trigger. And that gets fired the length of the ice for an icing call against Notre Dame. 12:26 to go, second period. 1-0 lead for Notre Dame. And a real good look there for Price, just not able to get it off the stick.
Kind of a bit of traffic there. It was a 3-on-2 for the Wildcats, but this period's kind of started like the first, and the Hounds controlling a bit of it, getting more chances, but look for Swift Current maybe to kind of have a same thing that happened in the first and start to carry play here in the back half of the period.
Bacchus couldn't hold that one in. Dumped down into Wildcat territory. Perlinger's back for it. Goes off the boards to the line. Held in there at the point, and a chance to cut out towards the slot. Pass! And a quick shot blocked by Bacchus in front as Anderson couldn't get that through. Great job by Bacchus of getting in the lane there. That was a one-time opportunity for Anderson as well. And Kyra Anderson's already got 5 goals on the season, so not a player you want to have an uncontested one-timer that close to your net. Battle for the puck inside Notre Dame territory now. Metzger trying to get to it. The captain for Swift Current. Behind the net, they battle and win the puck. Wraparound try by Georgette. Gets away from her, and back comes Notre Dame. Merriman cuts into the zone. Crosses to the top of the slot. Forced to the outside nicely. And bodied in the corner by Hansen.
Really strong play by Hansen there to stick with Merriman as she was weaving her way through the zone and then kind of play a bit of a body and then just get the puck off her stick.
Loose puck in the slot. It's blocked. Georgette, a good defensive play as that came right to Notre Dame's Caitlin Gilroy. And Georgette saw it before Gilroy was able to get that off her stick. Lunged in there to block the shot attempt. It remains 1-0.
Kind of bodies going everywhere there in the paint. And not even the paint, more of the slot areas. Everyone was trying to get their hands on that or their stick on the loose puck there and just kind of rolled the Leonard, and she was able to cover that one up. The Wildcats will break out of their own zone.
Puck to center ice. Down the left wing, Kerwin had her pass blocked. McNinch, good play, works it back to Jones, has a look. Her shot blocked in front, and the rebound knocked way down out to the neutral zone. McNinch just made a good little hesitation play, drew the players to her, and left Jones wide open at the point. Shot was blocked, but it was a good effort to create that point opportunity. Now Urich forced off of it. Good defensive play for Notre Dame by Rasmussen, who will dump the puck into Swift Current territory. 1-0 Hounds leading this one. Battle of the top two teams in the Saskatchewan U18 AAA League early this season. Hounds have won the only game between these two so far this year, a 4-2 Notre Dame victory. Wildcats won every game but one so far this month of November. Notre Dame's only lost once all season in overtime against Regina. As Jones has it back in her own end. Fed up to Kerwin. Up the middle, good quick pass and some room for McNinch to skate. She'll make a move into Notre Dame territory, but played well. Good defense for the Hounds by Herman. Passes too far for Govan there, but Notre Dame is able to clear the zone. Into Swift Current territory. At the line, Hansen held it in. That centering feed, bouncing in the crease area, and they score! Just a loose puck for Notre Dame. They jam it towards the blue paint in a game we said was going to be a battle in the blue paint. The Hounds pounce. I think it's Dovrinachuk who gets it for Notre Dame. Oh, no, it's going to be McKibben, maybe. And a couple of plays by Merriman on that shift to get into the zone, to stay with the puck, just get it into that blue paint area, David. And that's where the Hounds were able to pounce. And Swift Current couldn't get that puck frozen.
Yeah, the Hounds have kind of been all over Swift Current so far in this period, and they finally capitalized there to stretch their lead to 2-1. And it's going to be a tough one for Swift Current as they're down a pair, and they're going to pick up a penalty now, and that's going to be a Pell for a body check behind the play that was...
Yeah, Pell came in there. A pretty ferocious forecheck, and that's the line you walk in women's hockey, as that's a good, solid hockey check in other situations, but just a little too much contact in this situation. She's amped up. She's trying to get her team some energy coming off a goal against, but that's 2 penalties for Swift Current in this game, about as far away from their own net as possible, and that's what they're going to want to avoid. Their penalty kill's been good. Killed off the 2 Notre Dame power plays so far. But if you're going to take a penalty, it's ideally one that's preventing a scoring chance rather than a play nowhere near your own end. As Parrott circles the zone and shoots. Good block. And that one's fired the length of the ice. The captain doing the little things. Ava Metzger with the block and the clear with 1:20 left in the power play. Puck moved to Parrott. Flex off her stick. Stopped at the line. Now Merriman gets into the zone, right wing side. Good pressure on her from Swift Current. McKinch right in there. Back to the point. A little bit of room to work for Herman. And that'll be cleared out by Swift. Buffard gets that puck down into Hound territory, and at least one Wildcat. Metzger is able to change. Keller comes on for her 40 seconds left in the Hound power play. Nice move there by Dovrinachuk into the zone for Notre Dame. Trying to get the power play set up. Laid away up the wall by Swift Current's Perlinger. And that skips away from Govan. She couldn't hold that in. Moves it across her own blue line. Swatted ahead by Kubrakovic. And that'll do it. Another very effective Swift Current Wildcat penalty kill, David. They didn't even give the Hounds one shot or one decent look in that 2 minutes.
Kept everything to the outside, too, when the Hounds did have control, but Swift Current's really going to need to try and build off another penalty kill and maybe try and get themselves a power play of their own and go from there.
That was just excellent job as they'll catch Notre Dame offside there. They knew when to put pressure on. They knew when to back off and force players to the outside. Got in shooting lanes. I mean, it was as effective as you can hope to be on the penalty kill. And absolutely had to be, coming off a goal against, trailing by 2 against a team that's really tough to score against. Now some pressure here on the forecheck by the Wildcats. Held in at the line for Swift by Hansen. Here's Watane. With Swan. Nice job. Gets out to the front and sends a shot low and wide. Curling from the corner there was Swan. Couldn't quite find the net. Chance to clear for Herman. She'll get that out down the ice for an icing call against Notre Dame. That's a great post-penalty kill shift, David. Good pressure and a scoring chance.
And not only is it a scoring chance, it's going to get the Wildcats to change when the Hounds aren't going to be able to change. And Swift Current's going to have a little bit of fresh bodies out there where the Hounds are still running maybe a little on empty here. Is 5:37 to play in the first.
And the puck flicked right out of play. But that'll allow the Hounds to change.
Must be nice, I guess, to get out of that one like that. Kind of worked out in the Hounds' favor. Defenseman kind of just airmailed it right into the paywork sign area, kind of.
If this is an NHL game, that's 2 minutes right there. But they have discretion at this level, and that really worked out in favor of the Hounds, that's for sure.
Yeah, 5 minutes after they were
trapped in towards the net. Wraparound try. Oh, and that slides through the crease as Urich had a good look.
Urich on the wraparound was able to beat Filipova to the net.
She lost her stick, too. Swift Current can't hold the puck in, and that'll give Filipova the opportunity to look at her stick, and now it's whistled dead inside Wildcat territory. She didn't go and race for it. Wouldn't dare leave her crease, but now the draw is going to come deep inside Hound territory once more.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she was going to go get it or not, even if the puck was in the Wildcats zone there. Kind of interesting. She was kind of thinking about it, but she didn't commit to it, like you said.
Erlinger couldn't hold that one in. Pokes it to the Hound line, and that'll be dumped down into Wildcat territory. Bacchus picks that up. 2-0. Notre Dame leads this one. Pass deflects. They can't get out to center. Whacked back into Swift Current territory by Rasmussen. Puck in front. Parrott couldn't get a stick on it. Now the goal scorer in the first, Mossett, had it taken away, and the Wildcats have some room to skate. Pass up the middle. Bounced over the stick of Swift Current's Price. After it in the corner with the help of Wingert. Wingert, wraparound, rebound opportunity. Has it. Wingert again at the line. Forced out on a good play by Roberts. Dump right back in as the Wildcats get on side and get some fresh bodies in the mix here. Puck held in for Swift. Metzger works it back to Rubley. She'll shoot. That's just high. On the other side, kept in by Hansen. Worked down to the corner. Metzger, the captain after that for Swift. Cycles it for Georgette. She's got 2 Hounds on her. Whacked up the wall. Metzger keeps it alive. Quick pass for a shot by Keller. Blocked in front by Herman. At the point again, Hansen shoots. That one deflects to the corner. 2 Wildcats after it. Georgette and Metzger. Puck squirts free. Keller tried to work it back to Rubley, who had already moved off that spot. And the Wildcats are forced to reset.
Really good shift there by the Metzger line as they're able to get a couple of chances and obviously have lots of possession time there too.
Puck dumped right back into Hound territory. And ripped down the ice for what should be an icing. Notre Dame's Mira Kubrakovic, realizing the pressure is on, just dumped that down the ice, but can't get a change, and Swift will get fresh bodies.
See if Swift Current can get some more shots in the net here. They're only at 8 with 2:52 left in the second. I'm sure that's going to be something head coach Terry Pavley is going to want to see climb here.
They do get the draw win. Great pressure at the point, though, to try to force that out by Drinchuk. Wildcats hold it in just for the moment now. Drinchuk will knock it to the Swift Current line. Jones on that. Back ahead for Watain. She flicks that into Hound territory. Herman after it. Now Govin threw it up the wall. Held in by Bouffard. Herman clears. That pass off the mark, but does get deep into Hound territory. Herman's got it again. Has time, clears it out. Again, it's Vernichuk firing it towards the Swift Current net. That'll be caught and held by Wildcat goaltender Carly Leonard, who was a little busier in the early going in this period, not as much as it's gone along. Again, Swift Current getting momentum from their penalty kill, just as they did in the first.
Almost identical carbon copy of the first, maybe a little less possession time as the Hounds had more give to start the period, but Swift Current certainly controlled play here of late. Leonard's stopped 18 shots now, whereas Filipova's only at 8.
Well, and I think 3 of them were handled by Lindsay.
Yeah, in a 2.5, 3 minute span. So
Wildcats clear the zone, but this will be an icing against Swift, as they're on their heels a little bit with 1:32 remaining in this second period. 2-0 Notre Dame leading this contest. Brought to you by the Supplement King in Swift Current.
Right in the heart of downtown Swift Current. Whereas we aren't currently. We're up on the
south side. For those who are familiar with where life makes sense. Puck's on the wall and cleared out nicely there by Kerwin. Fired in deep for the Wildcats to get their forecheck going. Kerwin, a good stick there. Now pressure behind the net. A lot of contact behind the Hound goal. 5 players in on it. Down the stretch we come in the second. Point shot, looking for a deflection, and no one able to get a stick on that. Bacchus fighting to hold it in. That skips away from her. Across the neutral zone, Perlinger whacks that one back into Hound territory. Clearing attempt, held in by Perlinger. Pinches in, shoots it, and a bouncing puck caught and held by Eva Filipova. 36.7 seconds on the clock in the second period. 2-0. Notre Dame leads it.
Pavley's going to load up a forward line here with Metzger, Watain, and McNitch.
Draw one by the Wildcats. Steered into the corner. Battle for it behind the net. McNinch, good job getting on top of it. Now followed up by Metzger for McNinch. Backhanded to the corner. 20 seconds left in the period. Oh my goodness, a huge check by Metzger bowling over Govin. But that's going to be a penalty. Is just too much energy coming out of the Wildcats there. They really were hungry for pucks on the wall. And as Govin had that puck coming to her, Metzger bowled her over. And they're discussing what the penalty is going to be, whether it's just 2. And it looks like it is. That's as big a hit as you're going to see at this level.
I'm still kind of shooken up myself about that one. I'm sure the Hounds are as well, but holy, that was a hit by Metzger. And then there was a second hit as a Hound went at Metzger, and Metzger dropped the Hound that went at her as well. So certainly strong on her skates, to say the least.
Just a brick wall out there, but unfortunately, from Swift Current's perspective, they had a little bit going on that sequence with 30 seconds left in the period. Won a draw, won some battles for pucks. Were real hungry after it down in the zone, but just a little too amped up was Metzger as she ran over top of Gobin. It remains a 2-0 Notre Dame lead, and they'll start the third period, David, with 1 minute and 45 seconds of power play time. The Wildcats have been spectacular on the penalty kill, but they certainly can't afford to give one up early in the third.
And that's the last thing they're going to want to do. They're going to want to kill it and obviously get something going on their end of the ice because they're at 9 shots through 2 periods, and they're going to need a little more offense than that, obviously, to solve potentially one of the best goaltenders in the league in Filipova, and obviously going to need to kill that penalty to start and then look to build off it again. They've done it multiple times in the game. However, you are starting to flirt with trouble potentially here, and that they've done it multiple times, and this is a Hounds power play. When they figure it out, it's going to be tough to stop, and they figured it out in pretty much every game they've had coming into this season. I believe this is going to be the 4th or 5th power play, at least the 4th. Yeah, for the Hounds. So Swift Current's going to need to continue their sharp play and then press for the remaining 18 minutes. Basically, it'll be 1:45 remaining on that power play. They're 13 and a half minutes out from getting back into action here at Fairview West Arena, and Swift Current's down 2-0 after 2 periods. So we'll head to a quick commercial break on ASTV.
It's a 2-0 Notre Dame lead. You're watching Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats hockey on Amateur Sports TV.
The town of Stonewall is a great place to call home. Located just 25 kilometers north of Winnipeg, we offer our residents an abundance of services and amenities, from quality schools to a hospital with a fully functioning emergency room to great seniors housing. Our recreational facilities are second to none. The Veterans Memorial Sports Complex, the Heritage Arts Center, Fines Field at Quarry Park, our paved walking paths, nature trails, and our jewel, Kinsman Lake. Stonewall has a strong base of businesses full of dedicated community-minded entrepreneurs that include a full range of retail and personal service businesses. Our industrial park has grown significantly in recent years, demonstrating the robust economy of our community and surrounding area. The quality of life experienced by our residents rivals any other community, which is why Stonewall is a great place to call home.
At CM Engrave, we create more than just trophies, medals, and signs. We create time. Time for family. Time for growing your business. Time for the moments that make you, you. With more than 30 years experience for all your engraving needs. CM Engrave.
Alright guys, make sure you watch that coverage out there.
Speaking of coverage, you guys got supplemental insurance?
Who is this guy? No one can cover me.
You can be covered for any accident, anytime, anywhere, Canada and the USA. Learn more at supplementalinsurance.ca.
should get some of that coverage.
David Zammit back here at the Fairview West Arena. Game between the Swift Current Wildcats and the visiting Notre Dame Hounds, who the visitors are up 2-0 after 2 periods of play. We're about 9.5 minutes out from getting underway for third period action between the top 2 teams in the Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League. And Swift Current is up on the Hounds, maybe not points percentage-wise, but they are standings-wise 3 points clear of the Hounds. But the Hounds pick up the victory tonight. They'll be even at 25 apiece. Hounds are undefeated in regulation coming into tonight's game, and Swift Current has won 5 of their last 6, and they've been on a pretty good roll as well. Swift Current will look to kill that captain penalty by Ava Metzger coming into the third. 1:45 remaining on that as she picked up a body checking penalty, and we've seen a couple of those tonight. Appel had one for Swift Current as well. There could have been a couple for Notre Dame, but they have not been called to this point. They did take one penalty though. Swift Current wasn't able to capitalize on that, but Swift Current's going to have to crank up the offense here if they want to get back into this game, as they only have 9 shots through 2 periods, and I'm sure that was a talking point for Terry Pavley's Wildcats in the intermission currently, as they need to get a couple of goals to get back into this one, potentially force overtime or a trio of goals if they want to win this in regulation and hold Notre Dame to nothing. Be interested to see what they try to do. Hounds have 20 shots. So Carly Leonard has been busy at times. And then there's been times where she hasn't had to do anything for several minutes as the Wildcats have controlled play, but just unable to get a ton of chances in front of the net. I guess their best chances did come on that power play potentially back in the first period when Lindsay had to come in cold for the Hounds, but she turned aside everything that she had to deal with. So it'd be interesting to see what the Hounds can draw up in the locker room to get that offense going. And
well, a little info for you here, David. As we were walking back from the lobby area, the power play unit for Notre Dame was outside of their locker room having a little special conversation away from the rest of the team. So a team that has really benefited from a strong power play this season, recognizing perhaps that they're facing a very tough challenge from Swift Current's PK. A little bit of an opportunity to prepare as they start the third frame, and we'll see if they make any adjustments in how they approach things, as the Wildcats' timing was exceptional on that penalty kill. When they needed to put pressure on, they did. When they needed to just force a player to the outside, they did. They made the right decisions. So it's hard to game plan for just good decision-making.
Might be a great decision by the Hounds to have that conversation, because if they can get one here early in the third, it'll be extremely tough for Swift Current to claw their way back into things at that point. However, Swift Current's able to kill that, turn the tide, maybe get some momentum from it like they have several times this game already, maybe turn that into a goal, and we're almost back at square one at that point, especially if the Wildcats can get that goal, and then they certainly have momentum on their side of things and really get back into the game. But again, that's going to depend on if the Wildcats can get more offense. They've got tons of puck possession time in the Hounds zone as well. They just need to somehow get the puck to the net more with high traffic there. I know they had some traffic chances when they were on the power play, but if they can somehow replicate that, or even just clog up that slot area so Filipova can't see the puck as much, that would obviously be beneficial for Swift Current.
The Wildcats have had, in that period especially, a couple of good looks that just went wide of the net too. I think of Swan coming out of the corner, a good curl move into the slot, slid that just too far along the ice. A couple of point shots that were some good looks that got blocked. So they've had some possession time. They've had some zone time. Just haven't been able to get it through. And we're getting closer to the start of the period. So maybe another quick break before we come back to start the third. 1 minute and 45 seconds of power play time. for the Notre Dame Hounds when we start that third period. And it's a 2-0 Notre Dame lead in a battle of the top two teams in the Saskatchewan U18 AAA Female Hockey League. Hounds 2, Wildcats no score. This is Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats Hockey on ASTV. Sean Mullen, David Zammit, back live at the Fairview Arenas in Swift Current. Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats trail the Notre Dame Hounds 2-0 through 40 minutes of play. An early goal off the stick of Spring Musset in the first period gave the Hounds a 1-0 edge. Wildcats had some good chances late in the first, weren't able to break through. Second period, some back and forth action. Not a ton of high quality scoring chances in the first 10 minutes of that period. But the Hounds got one just kind of banging away at a puck around the blue paint. Kiana McKibben getting the goal, nicely set up by Merriman. And Kuzminski gets the other assist on that. The first goal by Musset was unassisted as that came off a Wildcat turnover. Swift Current had 2 or 3 real good chances in the late stages of the second period, just not able to find the net, and now find themselves shorthanded for the fourth time here, David. Fourth power play of the game for Notre Dame. And they've got 1:45 to start this third period. And it's going to be very important to kill this off. Wildcats' penalty kill has been the strength of their game so far. Exceptional in the first 3 Notre Dame opportunities, but the Hounds took some special time during the break to have a conversation about their power play, and we'll see if they bring anything different to the table here.
Be face-off wizard on the draw for Swift Current and McNitch.
And we're off. McNitch, a good stick there. It looked like the Hounds would get possession. She reached over and knocked it down into Notre Dame territory. But here come the Hounds. Some speed by Parrott into the zone. Cuts to the outside, works it deep. That's in behind the net for Gilroy. Came back out front. McNitch had the chance to clear. There was nobody on that right point. Down the ice it goes.
That was almost perfect draw weight from McNitch there. Even you don't have to avoid the icing, but it was just so slow and sent Hounds back into their own zone to regroup. And Swift Current's already killed 40 seconds in this specific third period of the power play, down to a minute left.
Hard shot by Parrott, caught and held by the netminder Leonard for Swift Current. She's been very solid so far here this evening. That's save number 19 for the Wildcat netminder. 57 seconds left in the power play here for the Hounds. Wildcats get the draw win from Wingert to the line. Held in there at the point for Notre Dame by Herman. She's got it middle of the point again. Passed it off. Comes to Herman once more. Wrist shot blocked by Wingert. Keller can't clear. She's had a great chance. It's fired back, and now Bouffard will get it up and out and down the ice with 30 seconds left in the Notre Dame power play. Good pressure by Swift Current down low from Watain. Putting all sorts of pressure on Notre Dame's defenders. And the power play having a hard time getting set up. They've got 13 seconds left. One last little rush and a turnover to Keller. She's got Thompson with her. Two of them cut in and shot wide by Keller. A little blind draw pass by Rasmussen as she entered the Swift Current zone. And the only one there for it was Keller with excellent anticipation. And off she went. We're back to 5-on-5. Another excellent Wildcat penalty kill against what has been a top-notch power play in this league.
Perhaps not the person you want to turn it over to if you're the Hounds either, is Keller has 7 goals on the season already, and she was looking for 8 as she got across the line and let that shot go and just missed the goal. As it actually looked like she might have beat Filipova to the far post with the shot, but shot was just a little bit wide.
Puck inside Hound territory. Each time the Wildcats have had a successful penalty kill, they've generated some good momentum off of it. We'll see if they do again here as Kerwin dumps that behind the net. Chance to clear for Govan, hits off a Wildcat stick across the zone. Race for it on the wall. Deflects away from Kerwin. Herman will fire that up the wall. And that gets out all the way to the Swift Current line. Bacchus got a stick on it. Couldn't move it back ahead. Here's a chance floated in on goal from Kuzminski. That may have caught a Swift Current stick, and it floated in on Keller, who was able to, or Leonard, who was able to make the save.
3 minutes played here in the third period. 17 left.
Draw one by Notre Dame in Wildcat territory. Puck off a skate. Good stick there by the netminder Leonard. Bouffard sends it up the wall. That'll just get out to center ice. And a good stick by Keller. She'll race after it just a little too far to get a scoring chance. Tried to center it. That's broken up. Oh, that was very close to being a break for Keller. On that forced turnover by the Wildcats, the puck just had too much juice on it. Parrott's back in for Notre Dame. Centering feed broken up by Jones and Keller. Jones will move it ahead. Georgette. Stick handles. Jones follows up on it. Onside. Her pass broken up and cleared. Knocked down by Metzger and dumped back into Notre Dame territory, and she'll chase. Wildcats changing. Metzger putting pressure on as the lone forechecker. And a good stick there on a chance to clear. Finally, though, the Hounds do get it out. Here's Anderson. Gains the line down the right wing side. Wraps around behind the Swift Current net. And bodied off the puck by Perlinger. Good defensive play there for Swift. Anderson keeps it alive. Passing that off again. Dvernichuk and Anderson trying to get the cycle game going for Notre Dame. Perlinger kicks at it. Dvernichuk's on it. Whacks that back to the corner. Gilroy has Thompson on her. Centering feed blocked by Watain, and away come the Wildcats. Pass off Swan's stick to the Notre Dame line, and Govan's got it. The smooth skating D for Notre Dame. Govan's pass deflects out to the neutral zone. Away come the Hounds now. Down the left wing side, Dvernichuk shooting. She missed the net. Looking glove hand on Keller, or on Leonard, sorry. Wraparound try, stop, rebound. They score. 3-0 Hounds as Gilroy is right at the top of the crease to pounce on that rebound try. And the wraparound by Merriman. Good save made by the goaltender, Leonard. What else can she do? As a wide open look on the rebound is deposited into the net.
Rebound took a bit of a fortuitous bounce right out in front to Gilroy, who was standing there and made no mistake rifling it home quickly for the Hounds to extend their lead to 3-0. And Swift Current's in a bit of a hole here as they'll really need to get going here offensively if they're going to climb back into this one.
It's the thing, it's not that they've consistently not played well. It's just if you make mistakes and give this Notre Dame team any real estate, they've got so much speed. They come down the wing on one side, Dvernichuk misses the net with a shot wide of the goal, but they pounce on that. A quick wraparound by Merriman, and then if you miss an assignment on coverage like they did in front of the net, kind of got puck watching on the wraparound, you leave Gilroy, who's got 5 goals on the year already, wide open in front for a rebound like that. She's not going to make a mistake on that puck. Gilroy's 6th of the season, and it's a huge hole for Swift Current to try to dig out of here against the top team in this U18 AAA league. And it seemed like the Wildcats were coming pretty well off that early penalty kill, but a little bit of real estate to skate for the Hounds turns into trouble awfully fast. As Appel will dump that puck deep, but she was behind the red line. It's an icing call against Swift. 13:34 to go in this third period. Hounds in firm control, up 3-0. They have not allowed more than 2 goals in any game this season yet.
And it's been tough for Swift Current at the start of the periods, and that's really maybe what's cost them. The early goal in the first period.
Great chance, point blank on a rebound. Gilroy again sent that one wide.
Yeah, just the early goal there in the first, and then the early goal here in the third, and that's basically been the difference. I mean, obviously add in the second around the midway point, but
I think Merriman has been the offensive spark on a couple of occasions for the Hounds. Created each of their last 2 goals with speed and a drive to the net on both occasions. It's somebody else who's tapping the puck in, but it's Merriman at times when the Hounds have not had consistent offensive pressure, who's used her speed to create it. And not just speed to the outside, driving the net. Here's a chance. McKinch to the goal line, stopped and held by Eva Filipova.
Might have been the best chance the Wildcats have had in the entire game right there. Is McNitch just went the entire length of the ice, made a strong move to the outside, cut back inside to the low slot area, and got a great chance on Filipova's.
Dancing with the puck there.
Yeah, she's turned aside. Draw one back by McNitch as Swift Current will look to get some zone time here and set things up.
Nice cycle pass there by McNitch to the line. It's held in. Kerwin behind that. I was looking for that. Now, puck on the wall, cleared out to the neutral zone. Swift needs to put as much pressure on now as they can. No point playing safe. The 3-0 deficit. If you're going to come back against a team that you just don't score against, chances are going to have to come as a part of the equation. At the line, and that skipped just out past Jones. Neutral zone draw coming.
I know there's
11:55 to go in the third period.
Yeah,
3-0 Hounds.
Just about to say, I know there's 11:55, but wonder when Terry maybe starts stacking a couple of lines up here and tries to make a push to get back into it.
Puck back at the Swift Current line, banked ahead by Hansen and into Hound territory. They'll work that up the line. And away comes Notre Dame. Backhand attempt. Hits off of Bacchus. Sent towards the front of the goal that time by Roberts. And away comes Swift Current. Metzger gains center and gets it deep. Keller will chase after it. On it in the corner. Trying to get that cycle going. 5-player puck battle. They're digging away at it, and it's going to get whistled dead. Nobody would give an inch in this battle of two top teams in the U18 AAA Female League in Saskatchewan. And possession has not been decidedly in Notre Dame's favor. However, they've got more than double the shots. They've found a way to get pucks to the net at times when Swift hasn't. There's certainly skill to that.
They've capitalized on their chances as well, really well. Almost every high-quality chance that Swift Current's maybe given up, or, like you said, maybe at times been puck watching, it seems like Notre Dame scored on, whereas Swift Current's chances just haven't found that. Maybe there haven't been as many, but they just haven't found the back of the net to this point.
Long shot by Price there is caught and held by Filipova. Now, Wildcats have only had the one power play compared to 4 for Notre Dame, too. And that's another factor in, shot opportunities. While the Wildcats gave up almost nothing while killing penalties, that's 8 minutes of the game where they absolutely just can't attack.
Well, and look at what Swift Current did do on their power play, too. They had, 3 shots of their 11, potentially, in that 2-minute span. So, I mean, they certainly did work on their power play when they had one.
Side of the goal here, wraparound try. Good stick to block the path there by Leonard. Comes up the wall. Kept alive by Gilroy, one of the 3 goal scorers for Notre Dame. Gilroy's got it into the corner. Centers that one. Merriman couldn't get a stick on it. Govan holds it in. Gilroy trying to settle that puck down. Threw it towards the side of the Swift Current goal. Nobody touched it. Buffard trying to clear, and she got caught by an elbow, and that's going to be a penalty against Notre Dame. As Buffard tried to play that puck up the wall and leaned into by Amy Dvernicek. And that's going to be a penalty against the Hounds, and we just spoke about it. Here's a power play opportunity for the Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats. Down 3. They need to score here, David.
Maybe not the smartest penalty to take either. Maybe to let the Wildcats a little bit back into it here is, the Hounds have stayed out of the box basically the whole game other than the one, but Swift Current's really going to look to capitalize here on the power play.
Berlinger works it down low. Played away from her, up the wall. Metzger trying to get to it. Forward playing the point on the power play. Got it behind the net to Keller. You mentioned 7 goals on the season already for her. Her pass to Flex. Perlinger shoots one, and a pad save made by Filipova. McNinch working the half wall. Feeds that down low. Centered, and Keller got a stick on it. Couldn't get a shot through. Chance to clear. Gets away from Metzger and down the ice. The Wildcats really battled for that puck, David. Did not want to allow the clear, but eventually the Hounds got it out.
Swift Current's going to have to try and get more traffic like they did there a few times. Really good start to the power play. See how quick they can get it back in there and set it up. They're obviously going to want to extend this unit as long as possible unless they can get a quick goal here.
Here's Keller into the zone. Top unit still out there, over a minute into this power play. Sent in behind the net. And Watain couldn't get a stick on it. Clearing attempt knocked out by Perlinger. And she fanned on the shot. That'll bring it out to the neutral zone. And a little bit of a change here. Georgette enters left wing side. Gets some help, but still has the puck herself. Passed it off to Thompson. Back to Metzger. Thompson, she's open, shooting! Stop, rebound, they score! Wildcats are on the board. A power play goal. And it's Swan on the rebound. Pouncing on the rebound of that shot by Thompson. Wildcats get Thompson open with some good puck work, and it's Swan who's been around the net all game, breaking the shutout and bringing this game to within 2.
Swan's had multiple chances this game, like you said there, Sean, and one was early in the first. She made a great move, and she actually drew the first power play, for the Wildcats, and she's the one that's going to capitalize on their second power play of the night. Swift Current just dumps it in. That's Wingert.
Wildcats want to build on the momentum here. At the line. Cleared out to center. There's the official word. The goal is Swans.
Official word from a familiar voice himself.
Colin Big Game Powers rocking the mic, as he does for so many of the Swift Current minor hockey teams. He's a presence in the arena all throughout the community. One of those guys who's everywhere when it comes to community events. Here's a chance for Kerwin. Trying to cut into that lead a little more. Her pass for McNinch just a little off the mark. Bouncing. Perlinger's got it. Quick 2-on-1. She'll rip one, and a big-time save made by Filipova. Blocker stop on Perlinger. Point blank. That could have been the turning point of this game, David. Wildcats down by 2. That could have changed the complexion right there.
Great play by Perlinger to get that chance, but even a smarter play by Filipova to really come out and challenge her. She was outside of the blue paint there, stood tall, got the blocker on it into the corner, turned that aside, and Swift Current's starting to rack up the shots. They're up to 15 now, and there's just over 6 minutes to play here in the third.
It's going to be a tough goaltender to beat clean. That's why they get the rebound opportunity goal. You want as many shots as you can with bodies around the net. But when you get an open look like that, you're going to take it. And Filipova challenged Perlinger and was equal to that task. Still a 2-goal lead for Notre Dame. And a big thanks to their goaltender for keeping it that way, as Parrott tries to drag that to the net. She gets tied up with Swift Current's Kaylee Hansen. Here's a goal scorer for the Hounds, McKibben, trying to cut out to the front of the net. And here's Swan, who's got the lone marker for Swift. Thompson, now Watain. Great move. She'll cut in. Rips a shot. Stopped again by Filipova on a terrific rush by Watain. And that's cleared back down the ice.
It's like the game's opened up for Swift Current after that goal. They're getting chances here. Lots of them at this point.
Back in comes Keller. Wrapping around behind the net. Puck played up the wall, and that gets out to the neutral zone. Bouffard dumps it back in. There's only 4:43 remaining in regulation. It's a 2-goal lead for Notre Dame. Wildcats putting the pressure on now. Metzger tried to center that. Deflected away to the line. Bouffard a shot. Good block there by Mawson to open the scoring in this game for Notre Dame. She'll shoot one. Rebound chance knocked away. Good defending in front on that play by Bacchus. Metzger's away. She stopped at the blue line. Back the other way with speed is Anderson. Her shot will miss the net short side. Held in at the point around to the corner area. Jones on it for Swift. 4 minutes to play in regulation. Keller's pass, little too far for Georgette. She's not able to get to it. Perlinger trying to step up on the puck. It deflects away from her. Battle at the Swift Current line. Perlinger digs it out. She'll move that across for Price. And that's knocked away from her. Steady defensive play from Govan on that one. Back into Wildcat territory. Hounds trying to kill the clock. Jones battling there against Anderson for it. A little bit of a trip as they both tried to find the puck. Wingard trying to move it up the wall. Perlinger whacks at it. She'll turn back in front of her own net. Try to get a little separation. Moves that up for Price. Quick deflection. Here's Wingard. And she'll dump it into Notre Dame territory. How quick do the Wildcats think of pulling their netminder? Wraparound try. And that's turned aside. Good effort by Price there. McNinch, Price, threw it out front. That's intercepted. Back the other way come the Hounds. It's the Vernichuk to the slot backhand. Stopped, rebound. And a little late covering the puck that time was Carly Lehner. She gets on it, and there'll be a face-off in Swift Current territory. 2:46 to play, David. Wildcats down 2.
Seems like the game's really opened up, and that's, I guess, what you should expect, especially on the Swift Current end of things, is they're going for goals here, and that's what they certainly need to get back into this one, whereas the Hounds are playing some defense, but things are opening up both ways. More for Swift Current, though, offensively.
Puck dumped to Notre Dame territory, but not deep. Cleared out quickly by Govan. And fired into Swift Current territory, right wing side. Merriman tried to make a move. Good D from Hansen. Swift's got to get possession to try to get their netminder maybe to the bench here. Merriman almost draws a hold against Hansen there. She stopped herself. That's kicked and turned over. Here's McNinch. She's got Kerwin with her. Makes a move. And forced to the outside in the process by Tessa Henry. And that one will get cleared out. In some feet. Gobbled up now by Anderson. Up to Parrott. She'll get it deep. Minute 47 to go in the third. Wildcats need to get possession and get it into Notre Dame territory here. Urich, fans on the pass. Turned over to Anderson. Big time save made by Leonard on that one. And away comes Kerwin. Dumps it deep. Leonard's coming to the bench. Wildcats getting the extra attacker here. Down 2 late in the third. They need some pressure. And a turnover by Notre Dame in their own end. Just what Swift needed, but the cycle hit a skate. And away come the Hounds. Long shot for the empty cage. Wide of the net. And Merriman took it before she got to the red line. That's a huge break for the Wildcats. Minute 13 to play. Down 2. An icing against the Hounds. Maybe a timeout coming here for Swift Current.
And either Craig Parrott or Doug Markham were not impressed with that play by the Hounds there. You could hear them yelling from the bench at Merriman as she made that attempt, and it ended up being an icing.
Well, they'll give her a break, because if not for Merriman, it wouldn't be a 3-1 lead. She generated those second and third goals by the Hounds with her play. But you get a little bit anxious. You see that empty net. Your eyes get wide.
She was only a couple feet from the red line, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand where the coaches are coming from. However, they're not the ones that are on the ice playing the game. They can yell all they want from the bench, but sometimes you get caught up in the moment and things happen on the ice when
you think you're there and you're not, but I think they'll give her the benefit of the doubt after the game she's had. All right, 6-on-5 here. Wildcats need to answer quick to try to give them enough time to get a second one. Here's a quick shot towards the front and a pad save made. Buffard a drive off the block by Govan. It's loose side of the net. They'll bang away at it. Back to the line. Down the stretch we come. Oh, and a fan shot. They keep it in. Great job by Perlinger. McNinch has got it. Rips the pass across for Metzger. Metzger's got it. Drives it across the slot. Held in by Perlinger. Chance to clear. Ripped up the wall. Metzger falls, but still her and Buffard able to keep it in. Wildcats have to get it to the net. 32 seconds to play. They're down 2. They're going to run out of time here as they're held to the outside by the Hounds. Puck still in the corner. Notre Dame doing a good job controlling the gaps. Here's Metzger. Leaves it on the half wall. Back to Buffard. Time ticking away. Perlinger has a look. She'll take it. That's blocked. Parrott clears. And that hit off a Wildcat and wide of their net. Time is going to tick away in what was an intense third period, but the deficit just too large for the Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats. against a team as stingy as the Notre Dame Hounds. An excellent third from Swift. A lot of pressure put on Notre Dame after they scored their huge power play goal. The Wildcats win the special teams battles today, David. They go 1 for 2 on the power play, hold Notre Dame to 0 for 4. But generating even strength scoring chances against the Hounds proved to be a monumentally difficult task. And they're not alone in that, as they've played 9 games and only allowed 8 goals.
I feel like the rest of the league can attest to that. Maybe not all the other teams have played them yet, but they'll find out quickly as Notre Dame almost smothers you, gives you nothing on 5-on-5 play. It's so hard to generate, and the majority of Swift Current chances there were either created with the 6-on-5 at the end of the game or the power plays where Swift Current had multiple chances, multiple shots. But outside of that, 5-on-5, it's just so tough to create. And then when you do create, you're facing potentially one of the best goaltenders in the province in net, coming out, making really key stops at key times, playing angles right, things like that. It's a lot to overcome, especially when you get down early. And talk about early, they were down 1-0 almost right from the jump. At a minute and a half in, Swift Current's down 1, and then they give up 1 midway through the second. They're down 2, and then give up another early one in the third. And that's a really tough hill to climb against arguably the best team in the province, I guess, now.
Well, no question, the Hounds do move into first place in the standings with the 3 points they get against the Wildcats today. And yeah, the reality of playing against them is they kind of lure you in. You know, they play a really tight structure. They don't give you much to attack. And then they have the speed and skill that if you make a mistake, all of a sudden they turn the jets on and they head to the net and try to take advantage. And that's what happened. You know, there were not a lot of extended sequences for the Hounds in Wildcat territory. But when they had the chance to execute quickly off some openings or turnovers, they did that with speed. They drove the net hard. They got rebound goals. You know, the second and third goals for Notre Dame, both off Merriman rushes to the net. They're able to get those second chances. The first goal off a turnover in the back of the goal. Outside of that, Swift was not running around their own end in this game. You know, they weren't chasing the game. They were right there with the Hounds. But when you make a mistake, the speed and skill in their lineup takes it right to you. And I think if you're the Wildcats, yeah, I'm sure you'd love to have some more chances under your hat, especially at 5-on-5. But if you go against a team like that, you win the special teams battle, you limit the amount of time you spend in your own zone, there's a lot of positives to take out of this game. But clearly when you game plan against the Hounds again in the future, finding a way to create more 5-on-5 scoring chances is going to be the key.
I know this might be preposterous, but I wouldn't mind, and if we were somehow able to ever have this kind of stuff tracked, I'm sure the puck possession was in Swift's favor today. And like you said, it's not like they weren't outplayed. I thought they had the puck the majority of the time, and maybe even in the Notre Dame zone. It was just creating things towards the net. It was almost everything was to the perimeter when they were there. The only chances they really had was on the power play or with the goalie pulled. And you can't rely on those things consistently enough, especially when you only have 2 power play looks. And you don't want to be pulling your goalie at the end of the game either, because that means you're in a deficit hole there. So,
and I think Notre Dame had the puck plenty too, but Swift also did a good job defending 5-on-5, generally kept them to the outside, generally controlled their gaps, generally boxed out the front of the net. But when Swift made mistakes, Notre Dame pounced. They got pucks and bodies to the net, and they converted. And if you make mistakes, and there's going to be mistakes in a hockey game, no matter how good of a team you are, being opportunistic is a mark of a championship team. And the Hounds were that. You know, that turnover right up the middle to start the game, it ends up in the back of the goal. And there were some chances like that for Swift in the third where they weren't able to convert against Filipova. And when you're opportunistic, you end up winning games, and that's what happened here today. But it's a lot of fun to watch. Two very good teams that if you're the rest of the league, you're not looking forward to matching up with them.
You probably don't want to play either, like you said there, Sean. And they are probably the two top teams. I mean, outside of this, Swift Current's beaten Regina every other time they've played, and everyone else is kind of behind those three teams. So these are the top two teams, and it, like you said, was a great matchup today, and be interesting to see where the Wildcats go from here. And
if anyone in the league has an answer for how to score consistently against this Hound squad. Again, if you've only allowed 8 goals in 9 games, there's something you're doing right, not just in goal, but just in the overall structure of their game and the way they play as a unit. The Wildcats have 3 of those 8 goals, and they're not able to get within even 2 or get closer than 2 down. So Notre Dame's been spectacular to start the season, and other teams are going to break down video from games like this watched on Amateur Sports TV and other video they take themselves. They're going to game plan. They know that the biggest challenge right now in the Saskatchewan U18 AAA League is finding a way to score against the Hounds. And some of these coaches will game plan and they'll find some answers, and then Notre Dame will have to find some answers to those answers. So that'll be fun to watch as the season progresses, and we'll have a lot more Wildcat broadcasts from Fairview West Arena as the season continues, brought to you by Supplement King. And we appreciate the Wildcats having us here again today. Thank you to Taylor, who did a great job on the camera early on in the game. To my patient daughter, Audrey. Glenn back at our studios, and David Zammit. I'm Sean Mullen. In a battle of the top 2 teams in the Saskatchewan U18 AAA Female League, the victory goes to the Notre Dame Hounds 3-1, despite a hard press by the Wildcats in the third period. You've been watching Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats Hockey on Amateur Sports TV.